Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cackle. This is EntryPoint's weekly interview series where we highlight small businesses, startups, and people who are having an impact on communities across the Midwest. I'm Emily Heinz. I'm the founder and managing director of EntryPoint. We are a research organization that focuses on the small business and startup community. If you haven't seen any of our research before, we actually just released a really cool research report on the Ann Arbor tech community, which you can find at entrypointmi.com. And it's super good. I love this report. It's an annual report that we do. And it's really shines a good spotlight on a great community. So today is week 4 of our special edition of the Cackle, where we feature small businesses from across the Midwest. So every Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be featuring 3 Midwest small business owners who have positively impacted their communities and contributed to the vibrancy of their local economies. So you can tune in. We're doing 6 episodes so far. So this is the 4th of 6. So the next 2 Mondays, you can catch it. And we just really wanted to celebrate them and encourage everyone to continue to think about shopping locally, dining locally, and doing business locally. It's really important as we come out of the pandemic to support local small businesses and kind of keep your foot on the gas on that. We also want to take a minute to thank our sponsors, DTE Energy Foundation, Lightship Capital, Jobs Ohio, World Business Chicago, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, and the Wisconsin Alumni Research Foundation. So thank you to all of them for supporting this special edition. And then today we're excited to announce the winner of last week's episode. And then we're also going to be meeting Sticky Spoons Jam, Flavor Temptations, and Grand Marnier Outfitters, which we will learn how to say in one moment. So if you have any comments or shout outs, definitely put them in the comments. I love to see people sort of shout out their favorite local business and live encouragement. So as you all know, each week we speak to 3 businesses, and then viewers have until that Friday to vote for their favorite local business. The company that's selected then receives $1,000 from EntryPoint to support the growth of their company. So the company that was selected from last week's episode is...
Thank you, everybody, for selecting us to be your favorite small business of the week. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, EntryPoint. Thank you for all the sponsors.
Yeah, we love it. Everyone was also you should have seen all of the comments I was reading. I was oh my gosh, everyone loves them so much. It's so heartwarming to see.
I know, it's so great to get the support, the community support. Oh my gosh, all these. It's just thrilling to see the comment and to see the love and to see the support for our business.
Yeah. And then what is your website where people can go? So if you guys all missed last week, she has the most tasty, it's Southeast Asia, right? Southeast Asian pastes and condiments and things. And you can check all those out but what's your website?
So it would be Madam Chu with an E. Oh gosh. E here and just madamchu.com. Come on in and just do your purchase. Otherwise, send me an email and we chat too about recipes and all that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on and taking the time this morning, and I will hopefully see you soon.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. Cool. I love that. Everyone was so obsessed with Josie. It was I was oh my gosh, I love it. So our first special guest joining us today is Aiye Akhigbe. Oh my gosh. She'll correct me in 1 second. I'm sorry. It's Aiye Akhigbe.
Aiye Akhigbe.
Okay. She is the owner of Sticky Spoons Jam, which is located in Niles, Michigan, which is like about right here, right?
That's correct. We're
Yay.
right above South Bend.
Yeah. And so Sticky Spoons Jam is a veteran-owned business. Thank you for your service.
It was like
specializing in the production of jams, jellies, and syrups. Aiye started it in 2017. She uses locally sourced natural products from Michigan farms and small businesses, and is really focused on giving back to the community. So I was like so excited when I saw your application come through. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I love a thing like this.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun doing what I do. I work with my local farmers. I have phone numbers. I give hugs. They tell me when something's ready. And right now, I'm deep in about 5 different fruits, with 2 right behind it. Plums and apples are coming up next. And I'm a Navy vet. I enjoyed my time in the Navy. Making jams is just something I'm passionate about. I've made over 120 flavors so far. And I have about 50 more on my phone that I would love to make if I had more time.
Yeah, that's so cool. Like, how did you get into making jams? Like, was it something you always did, or it was just something you started doing like when you got out of the Navy, or?
It was something I started doing for my son. I started with making baby food when he was born, and then fruit ripened, and it was like, okay, let's try jam. Made 1 too many jars, took the excess to work, and my coworker offered to buy some. And she's like, what other flavors do you make? I'm like, I don't know yet. I don't know. I didn't really know much about fruit. And I started making more, and she would buy more. At the end of that year, I think she bought like 60 jars. So I went home and I said, I think we can make this a business. Started selling it out of my car at first, and got into my first farmer's market, Buchanan Farmers Market in Michigan. And 5 years later, I stopped counting after about 120 flavors. I think I've made more, but every year we put things into rotation. So
yeah,
to count. The best this year has been the 2 new ones this year: apricot rosemary, which is really good on chicken and pork chops. And if you really want to have a drink with it, you can add limoncello and bourbon to it. And a hashtag 2021 preserve, which my son created, which is peaches, apricots, and lemons.
Oh, that's awesome. That is like, is it hard to get into a farmer's market like when you first are starting out, or is it like an application you fill out, or how does that process go?
Well, you have to fill out an application, pick your farmer's market very well. You don't want to drive, 3 hours to a market, be out there under the tent. You need your supplies, tent, chairs, and all that stuff. If you're doing what we do, which is we use the Michigan Cottage Food Law, which means we can't ship, we can't sell our products on store shelves, we can't sell it online. We have to go to farmers markets. So we've been really selective because they're usually Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And I tend to do Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay. And then is so like not one that's too far away, and then ones that are like more popular, or is it kind of like you're just hitting different markets with any farmer's market you go to? So it's kind of like easier to find your.
I pick the ones. The farthest I go is Portage, which I'll be at this Sunday, the 22nd. The closest one is Niles, which I live in, which is 10 minutes from my house. But I started with Buchanan because it was the only market close to me at that point. Niles Market started this year. And Portage was just, I think somebody reached out to me and said, I bought from you at Buchanan, but I actually live in Portage. We have a market here. Do you think you want to do it? I'm like, sure, why not? I could
that's awesome.
Out there. And so it's door to door, 1 hour. They run an excellent market. The customers are absolutely amazing. We have a bit of a following there. So I'm expecting that when we're back on Sunday, a lot of people will come out and try and get their supplies for the year, especially the apricot rosemary. We also make something called Black Widow Jam. It has a story, but it's blackberry infused with rosemary, and you use it for braising beef. A lot of people know that jams are not just for bread anymore. People cook with them, grill. We will give you recipes on how to make drinks out of them. And a lot of people just eat them straight out of the jar.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that like the farmers markets are like just starting up around like offering you, because I was noticing we like stalk all of the businesses prior to you guys being on. Probably a little too much so since we're like fangirls. But like I was noticing that like there are so many people, like you have like a real cult following. Like people are just like, oh, she's gonna be here. They're gonna be like doing this, and like, did you try this one? Did you try this recipe?
Yes.
Like all this stuff, and I was like, I gotta get me some of this jam. My
Oh,
gosh.
our customers are amazing. They 5 years. We have people who are like super fans. I have someone like Debbie Millen who she comes to every market I attend. Every new flavor I have created in the last 2 years, she's bought herself and her family at least one jar.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how much love we get from them. We have people who show up and ask, my cousin told me you can make a drink out of one of this. Which one is it? And the question usually is, are you a tequila, a rum, or a vodka? And based on your reply, we can tell you which jam. And then we give you a recipe affixed to the back of our business card and say, here you go. Take a picture, say cheers to us, and enjoy it. But also,
Yeah.
we ask that people share the love. So if we put an extra jar in your bag, we ask that you don't eat it, but you give it to someone who's never experienced sticky spoons so they can experience sticky spoons also.
Oh, that's so smart. Yeah, that is really clever. You can also tell how much you like just really love like what you do and like your customers, and like kind of seeing people like enjoy your jams, because like this happens sometimes where I'll say like, "Oh, can you send me a photo of you with your products or something?" And some people have like tons of photos of them like looking really good with their products, and other people have like none. And I could probably find like 950 great photos of like your customers enjoying like jams and like with drinks and like all this stuff. And then I was like, I cannot find a single picture of her with her. And I was like,
I mean, the only picture of me I've really had is me last weekend for my birthday, or 2 weekends ago for my birthday. I did part of my Share the Love program was to go out, wear a tiara, which, as you can tell, is really not my style, wear a tiara and call myself the birthday queen with a sash to raise food, collect food and supplies for one of our local pantries. So the only picture you would have found of me was my tiara with my drink in my hand, because people bought me drinks for my birthday at the farmers market.
I did see those, and I was like, what's the story with this photo? And I was like,
well,
I guess maybe she
I was
wears
the
it a
birthday
lot.
queen.
And
Yeah, I was the birthday queen, and my loyal subjects
I
were
love that.
bringing gifts for the queen, but our gifts were to benefit RAM, our Redbud area ministries, back to school supplies, and things that we think other people need and deserve, especially
Yeah.
kids. So that was fun. And I didn't think you wanted that picture of me with a drink in my hand and a crown on.
I was like, I don't know, maybe. Who knows? I was like, maybe
Sorry.
she's gonna be like, this is the photo for me. Yeah, talk a little bit about that, because I know I saw in like some of the information that you had submitted to us and that we were reading about, that you do like an annual, but like kind of this ongoing Share the Love event, where you're like raising food for local pantries and stuff. So maybe talk a little bit about that.
Well, we're committed to food security. And so every Valentine's Day weekend, our local tea house, Apotheca Teas, allows us to use her restaurant, which is closed, to collect food
Nice.
supplies and this past year, we added homeless population. The unhoused population in Niles grew due to the pandemic last year.
Yeah.
So you get a large 15-ounce jar of jam or syrup in exchange for 10 unexpired canned or dried goods, or a coat or a sweatshirt, 10 pairs of socks, a bag of toothpaste, toothbrush, whatever people need in our community. And we benefit, we have 4 actual food bank programs here in our immediate vicinity. And so each year we pick a new one to bless with that collection for the day. Luckily for us this year, we actually were able to bless Helping Hands Ministries and also Sparrow House, which helps the unhoused population. And for me, a jar of jam is joy. And for somebody else, getting it and in exchange for food that benefits somebody else, it's the circle of just giving and kindness. And it was our 3rd year doing it, and we we plan to keep doing this. We plan to write it into our mission statement that we will always give back and provide food security in our communities.
Yeah. Why are you so passionate about that? Like, just like raising, I feel like a lot of small business owners, they're like, I'm going crazy with the small business, and aren't really thinking about like the giving back to the community as much like in the early days. So why did you decide to start doing that more?
Well, to me, I believe in kindness. It's one thing I tell my kids all the time, you have to be kind. And we do birthdays. My kids don't get gifts on their birthday, by the way. We ask friends to bring canned goods, which we will take the child to the food bank. The ladies at one of our food banks knows when the little person knocks on the door, it's a birthday. They make a big deal about them. But recognizing, and my son asked me, like, he goes, well, why can't I get a gift? I said, when we take to the food bank, a lot of people who come there, sometimes kids from your classroom, you get 3 meals a day. Some of these kids don't. And it's really sad that we live in this agricultural belt and so many people still go hungry. I grew up in Africa. I grew up in Nigeria, and a lot of people go hungry. And that's something that I don't want my kids to experience. But at the same time, I want them to know that giving back, sharing kindness, sharing love should be something that's innate in us and not something that you should expect something in return. The best representation of that was this year. We had a lady who probably spent hours making scarves, and she brought us a giant black bag filled with scarves. I think when Sparrow House counted it, there were 20 or 30 scarves in there.
Oh my gosh.
She did not even want a jar of jam. I made her take it. I said, you have to take it and sharing the love. So she goes, I'll just give it to somebody else. And for me, I was just like, this is just so nice. And
I know. It's
just
so great that you're like enabling that to happen though, and like kind of people thinking about other people like all year round, not just like making it like a holiday thing or whatever. But
yeah,
that is awesome.
every opportunity we get, we do a food raiser, back to school support, something. We will support our community. We have to. Nobody else will.
Yeah.
So as our community have to do something for each other.
Yeah, that's one reason too why like a lot of the research that we do is like on the impact that the small business community has on different communities across the Midwest. And you see that small business owners on average give about 400% more to local nonprofits and charities than like an organization like Target or Amazon or whatever. So you might see these like, Amazon just gave $1 million or something like that. But in aggregate, the small business community is a lot more aware of the needs of the local community and is like taking care of their neighbors more than these larger companies. So we're like, shop local, everyone.
Yes.
What?
Local. You have to
go to Amazon.
Local. It's very, very important to shop local because the local businesses also support each other. For example, I get 95% of my fruit from the fruit farmers who live 10 minutes away from my house. I'm a local business supporting local. My jars come from a company here in Michigan. My sugar comes from a company in Michigan. Pizza Transit, by shopping at Pizza Transit or eating at Pizza Transit, when the football team needs a fundraiser, guess what Sarah does? She donates to them. When someone's doing a fundraiser for a child with cancer, they get gift cards from her. Same as Vinny's, same as On Base, all the local community, we help our local community. So yes, it may be cheaper to go to a big box store. We know this, but hey, that same little mom and pop shop gives back, like you said, 400% to keep our community going. So let's do it. Shop local every single time. Pick local. Go pick some apples this fall.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe make some jam.
Yeah, don't make jam. No, that's my job.
Yeah. You're like, no, I'm not creating.
No, don't make jam. Buy apple pie jam from me instead. Just pick apples and eat it. Make an apple pie.
And then what advice would you give to someone who right now is maybe thinking about starting their own business? Like, I feel like I keep hearing stories from people being like, oh yeah, I just had like sort of this like moment of reflection during the pandemic where I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I should be starting this business. Like, what advice do you have for other people?
Do it. But don't do it haphazardly. Don't try to cut corners. Don't try to cheat anyone out of anything. Get quality products. If you're going to make something, use quality products. Don't do cheap and try and make so much money out of it. You're better off breaking even in the beginning, which is what actually we lost money in our first year, but you go for it. Test it, test the waters, go figure out what you want to do. And it's hard being a small business owner. It really is. There's sleepless nights, there's concern about supplies, especially right now. But do it and don't give up on that dream you have, no matter how big, no matter how small. All you can do is just do it. That's what Nike says, right? Just do
Yeah,
it.
that's true.
Yeah.
What is so for people who are kind of trying to figure out which farmers market you're going to be at, or like where, if they're like more local to Niles, in Southwest Michigan, like where can they go to find out where your products are going to be?
You can go on our website, stickyspoonsjam.com. You can follow us on Facebook at Sticky Spoons Jam LLC, on Instagram at Sticky Spoons Jam. And yes, we can't ship to you, but we do a lot of farmers markets. We do a lot of craft shows. We do a lot of festivals. We go from May until December. So send me an email, stickyspoonsjam@gmail.com. Ask me if I'm going to be close to you. Sometimes I meet people in the parking lot of the grocery store locally just because they want to get their orders in.
Yeah.
And we'll get you some jam. And if you're close to the Kalamazoo Portage area on August 22nd, come out 10 a.m. We have the table stocked with everything from apricot rosemary, #2021 Black Widow, there is a story, to peach mango, which you just add tequila to it and have a good time.
That's so good. And then, and which farmers market is that? It's the Kalamazoo Portage.
No, it's the Portage Farmers Market. It's on Sunday, the 22nd, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay, perfect. And then what's on the horizon for your business?
Well, we're looking to build a licensed kitchen. By doing so, we'll be able to ship, we'll be able to put our jars on store shelves, we'll be able to test some of my crazier recipes that I'm working on right now, but can't sell. Things where we add hot peppers like apricot rosemary habanero, which, by the way, I made some and it's delicious, but I can't sell it.
Why can't you sell it?
Because I'm not licensed to offer anything with peppers in it. The cottage.
Oh my gosh, that's
So with a licensed kitchen, I can create some. People think #2020 jam was crazy. Wait until you see what I have planned with a licensed kitchen.
I like that.
We will continue to surprise and delight your taste buds.
Yay. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining. And everyone can check out where you're going to be located, stickyspoonsjam.com. We put it in the comments also so people can kind of direct themselves. And thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Our next guest is Sarah Parthasarathi. Hey. Oh, I got you hidden a little bit. Hey,
how are you?
Good. So Sarah is the owner of Flavor Temptations, which is located in Madison, Wisconsin. It's an Indian spice curation business. I kind of made up that description on my own because I was like loving all of the things. I was like, spice curation.
I'm going to use that.
Yeah. And you started the business in 2012. So you've seen a lot of things from 2012 to now. And your organic spice combo kits and curry sauces teach customers how to easily cook up traditional, delicious Indian recipes from scratch, which I love.
Thank you. Yes, these are all my mother's recipes, actually. And
that's great.
I started this off, actually, it was really a very selfish reason. And it was more of a hobby initially. So when my son grew up and he left the house and he was so used to, Indian food. And he said, Mom, how do I cook Indian food? And I said, well, you know what? I give him, the spice box that Indians have. Like we have a bunch of spices in it. So I gave him the masala dabba, spice dabba. And they said, well, just put a little bit of each, you'll be fine. Indian food is a lot about flavor building and actually layering spices. I call it a spice lasagna, which he didn't realize. So what he did was, I told him put a little bit of each. He took his big hands and put so much of turmeric and so much of cumin and so much of everything else. And then he came back. He happened to live in town and he said, Mom, this didn't come out really very well. And I said, well, there's too much of turmeric, too much of cumin. And worst of all, he came back home and I had to cook for him again. I said, honey, I'm done cooking for you. Go fish, So I had to teach him how to fish. And so I had to then put together these spice kits and combo kits. And I started
Yeah.
measuring out everything for him like this. So all the spices, one after the other.
Yeah, let me
I
make
even numbered it so that he will never, mess up with it, right? So he started
Yeah.
cooking himself. I gave him my mother's recipes because that's what he loved, because I cook my mother's recipes. I put in a card, gave it to him. And then after that, he was like, so he brought it home. It's like the cat brings in the kill kind of stuff. So he made it. He made some curries with my recipe and he brought it home. And then I was like eating it. He's like, Mom, this tastes so good. I said, great. So I'm picking it up. Like, what is this stringy thing out here? And he's like, oh, that's cheese. So we are from Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin. Cheese state, right? So he proved to me that he's a cheesehead and he will add cheese to everything. So that is how
That's so funny. You're like, no. Oh gosh. All right, fine.
like, as long as he's making it and he's eating it, I'm not eating it. That's fine.
Yeah, I was telling my sister-in-law is staying with us. Well, my sister-in-law and my brother are staying with us, and she's Korean, and she was like asking me who I was going to be on today. And so I was telling her a little bit about all the businesses, and we were talking about yours, and she was just like, yes, Indian moms with the spices. Yes. And she's like, her mom does like something similar for them. And like, it was just so funny. Like she was just like, the Asian community is so good at teaching the children. Like, so how did that go? So you're in 2012, this is going on with your son. Like, how did that go into then you like launching, like, I mean, you guys have a significantly large business now. Like, it's not just like you're sending it still with your son off to his house wherever he lives. Like, I was like, how did that happen? How does that happen?
So it started off like as a hobby, right? So initially, and like Aiye was saying, my friends were like, oh, how do I make Indian food? Tell me how to. And I used to send them off to the Indian store. They bring bags and bags of spices, right? But you don't need that much of turmeric to actually add flavor. You don't need that much cumin. So everything sits stale in your pantry shelf. And then 6 months later, they throw it out. And it's all this waste that goes into the drains again or into the garbage. Yeah. So I was like, okay, maybe I can just measure things out and give it to you. So I started doing it that way, got into some local stores. Again, I truly believe in this local community because we have some local stores like Metcalfe's out here. And I met the grocery manager and she was like, oh yeah, bring it in, come on in. So we had a demo, presentation. We got our products in and people just came and just bought and bought. So we started growing that way. Then slowly we grew into a lot of stores across the Midwest, like not only Wisconsin, but Minnesota. And we were doing demos like crazy. And then I said, okay, I told my husband, he left his day job so that he could start working on the business. Wow. Then I told him, I'm close to retirement. I'm like, I'm going to retire. Well, look at me now. I'm not retired. I'm going to retire. Now the question is, when do we retire? Retire is a question we keep asking ourselves, but I don't think we will. Because we really love what we are doing. And the best thing is, since these are my mother's recipes, a little story. My dad used to be in the Indian Air Force. He was a combat pilot. And his dream was that, because my mom's cooking is so good, he used to say, once we retire, we'll go to a beach, we'll be in the southern India, Chennai, that's where we are from. And he'll say, I'll take a food cart, you cook, I'll take a food cart, I'll sell the food and I'll come back. That's going to be a retirement dream because he wanted to share her recipes and the food with everyone, like in Chennai. And now here I am sort of sharing her recipes.
Yeah, that is so great.
The world. It just feels so good to be able to do that. So that's how it started off. And then now we are full-time on the business. We not only sell these recipe kits, you can see all these flavors out here. But we also, sell sauces and blends, like you were saying.
Yeah, talk about some of the different, like maybe some of the ones that are like the most popular that people get.
Yeah,
I'll make you bigger so that people can actually see, and then I'll be just the voice in the.
Sure.
The voice.
Yeah. So we have a lot of vegetarian and vegan dishes. So these are some vegetarian and vegan dishes: paneer tikka masala, black bean masala. Then we have some um, meat dishes. So we have beef vindaloo and butter chicken, chicken tikka masala, and tandoori chicken spice combos. Then we have like another vegetarian palak paneer. So these are some, and then the cauliflower curry, and then there's a chana masala at the back. So we have like almost like 12 or 13 different flavors, and we are growing. We are adding more because people keep coming and saying, "What about that? What about this? Get me this." I'm like, "Yep, sure, on my list," and I'll continue to do that. So
Yeah.
each of these then will have, the recipe, and then it'll tell you what else to buy locally. So again, what this what this encourages people to do is, unlike meal kits where you get everything and there's so much of packaging, here you get the spices all measured out, because that's the most important aspect of Indian cooking, right? Is like to make sure you have the spices and they are you can build on the flavors, and so the recipe tells you how to do that. And then you go to your local community and local grocery store to pick up, your fresh produce. We
Yeah.
do, yep.
Where can people go to buy them online?
So they can go to my website, flavortemptations.com. We also have a pretty strong presence on Amazon. And Amazon.com/flavor temptations, that's where our Amazon store is. And that came about actually during the pandemic. And so we were primarily selling on a web store and on local stores. But during the pandemic, it's impacted a lot of businesses. Plus, people were beginning to cook at home and they're looking for food. So we were like working like mad trying to ship stuff off to Amazon so that people could purchase there and then actually, cook for themselves at home. So
Is it better for you guys if people buy from the website or buy from Amazon? Like, I know Amazon must take like a cut off of the profits you're making. So should we tell people like, just go to the website?
to be honest, they could go anywhere because we will ship from anywhere. Amazon Prime, we are Amazon Prime, so you get free shipping. So some people like that and they trust Amazon. We have our own site where we provide free shipping if your order is more than a certain dollar amount. Plus, for Cackle customers, we have a real good deal going on. So we are going to be giving 10% off until the end of the month, and the code is Cackle10 -10.
Yeah, Cackle-10, which we'll put in the comments too of the video. But I love when people give like Cackle like the discounts. I'm like, yay!
Yeah, we want to do that for the, especially for the Midwestern customers, and to sort of promote Indian cooking.
Yeah.
I mean, our mission is to bring joy into your kitchens so that you can really enjoy delicious food made authentically, and you get to brag about it. That is what we really want.
Yeah, I was watching on. I was on your website and I saw you have like some videos up of like people cooking with their kids, and it just like makes it a lot easier to make really tasty things. And I was like, I've got 2 young children, and I was like, oh my gosh, this video is speaking to me so much. Just like, all I got to do is this and this and this. Oh, it's so fun.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, that's so perfect.
So what we also did is, so initially we had the spice kits, the combo kits, and then when people felt they didn't have enough time to cook, especially when everyone was homeschooling and during the pandemic and stuff like that. So then we brought out these sauces. We brought like 3 sauces out: so chicken tikka masala sauce, a veggie korma sauce, and a butter chicken sauce, all made with our own spices. And this is what it looks like. And one thing I wanted to note also is none of our products have got any sodium at all. So our spice combo kits have got 0 salt, and the sauce has like less than 1%.
Wow.
Because of the tomatoes, which has a sauce. And to do with the layering process, we also provide a garam masala packet. We attach it to the sauce. So this we do manually. All this is put together locally so that people can cook authentically again. But it's just making it a little bit more easier for them.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm gonna have to check those out. I do love like the sauces too. Like that's like, it's like butter chicken. I'm like, So then what advice would you give for someone that's like out there that's thinking about starting a business?
Follow your dream is what I would say. This I have been dreaming about for the past almost like 10, 15, 20 years. And I've been thinking of doing it. And I would say follow your dream, and you would be surprised at the number of resources you really have for you to be able to mentor you. Because we have, like, for example, when I first started, there are non-profit organizations like SCORE. I don't know whether people have heard about that. And then there are some mentoring operations. And then plus we also have, networking with people. And of course, the entrepreneur community is out there trying to, help. Entrepreneurs in general, they really want to help each other. And so I would really say, just follow it, but do it iteratively. Perfection can be the enemy of progress in a way. So you have to take the concept, try it out, and then build on it and continue to build on it. What we have right now is, after like almost like 5-6 years, our initial products didn't look anything like this. So although the concept was the same, we still had these, spice packets inside each of them, but the packaging was different and everything was different. And so along the way, we have really had to build it up.
Yeah, we ask this question a lot of like founders of small businesses and like small business owners and all that. And it is interesting how many people say that, like, don't wait until everything is perfect and like that every single thing. They're like, you just kind of at some point have to like just jump in and do it, because you'll never know what you don't know until you're like in the situation and navigating it. So I think that is interesting, because it's funny, like all these completely different types of businesses will just have like very similar advice. I'm like, I should clip them all together from all the episodes at some when I've got all the time in the world.
That will be a new show by itself. Yeah,
it'll just be like advice from all of the businesses that have been on the Cackle, and like everyone will just be like, the general consensus from small business owners though is like, do it. But then they're all like, I'm so stressed out, but definitely highly recommend, but it's terrible, but do it. But it's
exactly. to be honest, if I knew what I know now, around like 8-9 years ago, or when I incorporated the business and I was like slowly starting off, I still had a full-time job, so I was just doing little. If I knew then what I know now, I would most likely not do it. I'd be like, oh my God, I'm going to do all that stuff? No way. But then it's like we had a good business coach who sort of helped us along the way and gave us little bits to bite at a time. And then we swallowed that, came back to her, and then she'd give a little bit more. And finally, it sort of helped getting where we could.
Yeah, I was just this morning talking to Molly, who is somebody that runs a toy store in the city I'm in. And somebody had asked like, oh, small business owners, like, what would your advice be? Like, I was just like looking for some guidance and mentorship. And like, she had posted just being like, it's about to be terrible. Just do it though. And I was like, I know, I think like after this last 18 months, everyone's been navigating and treading water so much that they're just like gonna scare everyone away. like if it's like, you're just supposed to start lying. It's so easy. You're just
but
your passion.
It's a passion. The passion is what, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So what is what's on the horizon for you guys? Like, what is sort of like the next thing?
So pre-pandemic, we actually discovered that there's a lot of demand for introducing global flavors into institutions like hospitals, and we've gone and eaten hospital food in the hospital cafeteria as a patient or as a visitor. You don't have much choice, especially when you're talking about vegetarian or vegan and things like that. You get a salad all the time. So it's like, how can we do that? And even educational institutions like schools and things like that. It's just amazing how the food service teams, who have done phenomenal job during the pandemic, feeding millions and millions of kids, literally, are now trying. They have all these grants and all these opportunities to actually feed kids for the next school year, and they're all looking at options and things like that. So there are many of these opportunities coming up that we are wanting to expand and sort of take this to a larger scale. So these make like 4 servings, but then we have products that can make up to 108 gallons, literally. So we measure everything out, and we are sort of helping people out. And the nice thing is, since these are sodium free, it really fits into the USDA labeling and stuff like that. Sort of helps them. And they also really like the fact that the sauce is there and the spices are there, so they have the choice of what they would like to make. Plus, they get all these goods that they have to use up. So it's a lot of things that we have to take to bring global, start them young, and get kids to sort of learn about new things and new flavors and stuff like that. It's something we want to do. Plus, also we want to bring in some new sauces, curry sauces too. Some new flavors of those as well.
Oh, exciting. Man, so many things. I love it. It's so interesting hearing about like people who run different types of businesses too. Just because I'm like, I would never even have thought that was like, oh yeah, like there's like the sizing and the packaging, like you can like serve, you could do something with like larger portions or something like that. Like that growth opportunities look really interesting.
Right.
Like, and then we'll put your website in the comments, but give it one more time for people who kind of want to check you guys out and order some stuff.
Yes, absolutely. And I also wanted to add, one of the things about the quality of the products is really, really important. So like you mentioned, we went with organic, and primarily for the reason that they are non-irradiated, because most of the spices you get, which are not, are irradiated, and you don't want to be putting stuff like that into your body. So we just want to make sure that that's happening. And we also make sure that as part of, giving back, right from day one, we have been giving back a portion of our proceeds to Feeding America. And that really during the pandemic was seeing all those food lines and the food insecurity that the entire country was facing. It was really helpful that we were able, we thought was opportunity to help others out and to provide those meals. And until date, we have donated for more than 72,000 meals to Feeding America, and we continue to do that.
Wow, that's so great.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I love that. What is your website?
My website is www.flavortemptations.com, temptations with an S.com.
Cool. And then we'll put it in the comments too. So if people are kind of like, what was that again? Then it'll be in there. But yay. Well, thank you so much for joining today. I'm like so excited to check you guys out some more and maybe like,
thank you for
pastas. That's so good.
Yeah. You should try after the sweet jam. Now you have the spicy stuff, and it's not just spicy, it's flavor. So thank you so much for the opportunity, Emily, and for thanks and for talking to your audience in the Midwest too. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay, I will see you soon. Bye. Oh, all the tasty. That is right. That's all the tasty things today. Kicking off the Monday. So before we bring on our final guest, I just want to remind everyone that after each episode, viewers have until this Friday to like and share the video, and then vote to select one of the featured companies to receive $1,000. Sharing the video is super important because we want to make sure like all of the businesses that are on get more visibility and more audience sees and hears about their products. We're still accepting some applications from companies who'd like to be featured on the show. So if you we'll put the link to apply in the comments, but if you're a business owner and you're watching and you're like, oh, I'd like to be on this, we have a couple more episodes left. And so you can definitely still apply. So our final guest of the day is Kim Cracky Weaver. Hey!
Good morning. How are you?
I was like, you are going to have to tell me, I know you put it in the thing, but then I couldn't read and talk at the same time. You're going to have to tell me how you say the name of your business, because I've been wondering for 2 weeks and then we didn't get a chance to talk about it beforehand. I was like,
it's Grand and then Marais, Marais. And Marais is a French word, and Grand Marais means big marsh. We are on a harbor of refuge. We are the oldest named town in the state of Michigan. And I joke with many of my customers that we are not the middle of nowhere. We are literally the end of nowhere. if you go one more block north, you will be in Lake Superior. So yeah, so we're in the end of nowhere in the Northwoods.
I saw when I was looking through your information, I was like, where is that? And then like you look it up on the map and I was like, oh, could it be at the top of the Upper Peninsula? I'm like zooming out, like, oh my gosh. And then it's like way up here. I was like, sounds like it's so beautiful. And so Grand Marais Outfitters is an outdoor gear and clothing store, which is in Grand Marais, Michigan. And you found the company in 2011, and it's sort of like the hub of activity for people traveling through the Upper Peninsula. And like you go through your feed and it's like a total, like if anybody's like loves to see some hiking photos, they should just like go to your Facebook, because like all these people are posing with their products like in the most beautiful, like picturesque Upper Peninsula, Michigan, like like, oh my gosh. So tell a little bit about like your background and like why you decided to like open the store.
Well, to be honest, my background has nothing to do with outdoor gear retail. It's just one of those things that life happens, as they say. My background is actually journalism and broadcasting, but I had a career in medical respiratory device sales. So in a nutshell, I love selling, and I started out my career. I was a graduate from Northern Michigan University, so I came to the Upper Peninsula and just absolutely, of course, fell in love with it, as we all do. And so I know a lot about the Upper Peninsula. And so really the unfolding was because of the Upper Peninsula. I love this. I love the people that come here. I love everything about it. I know the UP like the back of my hand, because as a reporter and as a sales rep, when I was in medical sales initially, I covered the whole UP. And so I'm just a really good resource for people that have questions about outdoor gear, what to do, what to see, even as simple as how to get there.
Yeah. Where were you from originally?
I grew up downtown Chicago.
Oh, nice. And then you're like, that is so very the opposite.
I'm a city girl. I'm a skyline girl, as my my friends say. And then I spent the last 20 years in the Mid-Atlantic region.
Oh, wow.
So Philadelphia, Baltimore, on the Chesapeake Bay, and then most recently North Carolina. But I've lived here for, I'm having my 10th anniversary this year. And I renovated my building. It's a green renovation. I'm solar powered, LEED certified. The installation in my building is a sprayed soybean. And so, I mean, it's like any business owner, you get to pick exactly what you want to do with not only your products, but your location. I mean, you really are. I had a friend's son say to me, "You're the decider." Yeah. As a small business owner, you get to make all and every single decision on your own.
Yeah, it's like you get to make all those decisions, and then for some reason, all roads just lead back to you. But you're like, oh gosh, it's all the good things and the bad things. So how has the last 18 months been for you guys? Because I feel like a lot of people that I talked to that were like, oh, you can't go on vacation as much, but like you can like go hiking or like do outdoor activities and things. Like, how has it been for you guys?
Well, it's been a kind of a double-edged sword. We were, of course, closed down last spring because of COVID. Everybody was. And I used that time to do renovations. I have 2 VRBOs as well, and stripped wallpaper, renovated those. In my business, I quite literally hand sanded my floors and used that downtime when everyone else was sharing sourdough recipes. I was on my hands and knees sanding my floor and making the most out of the time, which was fine. It needed to be done, and I was blessed actually with that extra amount of time. With COVID, we were unique in that, I'll just, for example, water parks were closed. People couldn't fly places. People weren't going to amusement parks. They were going to the woods. And everyone had the same great idea. Oh, let's go to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And so we had quite an influx of tourists, first-time visitors last year. And so I think a lot of people discovered Grand Marais as a result of COVID.
Yeah, that is like, yeah, because I totally, in the Midwest especially, it's like anybody was like, I've always wanted to get to Pictured Rocks or whatever. Like they're just like, and then I bet they get up there and they realize what they don't have. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to go right over here to buy things.
The Upper Peninsula was, in fact, discovered. But as far as COVID, I made changes that I'm going to stick with. and going forward. So there were a few things in the learning process that I changed and made decisions based on COVID that I'm just going to keep carrying forward. And so it gave me a chance to rethink things. For example, I'll just go back to the sanding of my floors. I literally pulled everything out of my shop, and I mean, it was bare. And
Oh my gosh.
every shelf washed, every light, every wall, everything was rethought through. And I repositioned things, put things higher. So of course people wouldn't get hit on a shelf. With their arms, they had that extra, 2 or 3 feet space, put things at angles. So we had the distances, and I liked the outcome. I also started something as simple as chalk on the sidewalk, COVID mitigation. People, if their child was outside coloring, and I have now the most beautiful sidewalk anywhere, and usually a parent was out there with them. And so that limited the number of head count in the shop. I also had a back coffee shop, and because of COVID, I wasn't able to continue not only people meeting in a smaller space, but also making sure everything was cleaned, et cetera, et cetera. And then this year I decided I just wasn't going to do it. As they say, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, making sure everything's clean, blah, blah, blah. And so I repurposed that space. I still have my gourmet custom coffee that I sell and everybody loves. I'm just not serving it here. And so there were changes that turned out to work for me in the long run, as far as rethinking what I was doing. And so it was kind of a fallback and regroup, if you will.
Is it possible to show your store? Can you turn the thing, or is that really dicey?
I am actually in what was the,
Yeah, definitely don't have to. It's hard to sometimes position everything, but
this is a tiny, tiny portion of it. It's all outdoor. That was, one of the sinks, etc. Kind of walk backwards. And if you all want to follow me, we'll do a quick shot into the store. I don't know if you guys
just make sure you always have internet. Ooh, it's so cool.
Outdoor. Here are my floors that I did by hand.
Ooh, nice.
It was interesting. And here I'm just going to walk backwards, and hopefully I won't trip and break my.
Yeah, I know. Otherwise, all of a sudden we're going to be like.
Here's for example, the shelf is higher, and so if you needed to step back, you're not going to run into something.
Yeah.
And so lifted things. So it gave people more space. I'm going to keep going if you want to keep following me.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the front here. And for example, I have a big angled space here. If you can see my arm.
Ooh, that's so pretty.
And before things were straight, but everything is kind of re-angled.
I like that. Yeah, it looks really nice.
And so thank you. And again, here I'm going back to my little, what was my coffee shop here. I'll give you another view over here. But yeah, reposition things, just rethought through things, which was important. And so it, like I said, it gave me a chance to kind of fall back and regroup.
Yeah, that is nice. And then
so
what is the best?
I was also doing canoe and kayak stand-up paddleboard rentals. And because of COVID,
You're breaking up.
So I didn't do it last year. And, again, it was the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. This year, I didn't do it. The time investment, the insurance liability. This year, I just thought, I'm just not going to do it. So I'm selling kayaks and stuff. The time involved, I could spend more time with my customers, chatting with them, than worrying about them out on the day. So, so it really, I know it's a horrible thing that happened, and it still is. But as a business owner, you have to kind of, look at things different, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And for me, I look different.
And like always, a couple of people that I talked to in the beginning of the pandemic were saying that they were so used to just navigating challenges typically that this was just kind of another challenge for them. Oh, I think you're a little bit frozen right now. I can hear you though.
Okay, I can see you.
Oh no. Yeah, I was I think that we're a little bit on a delay.
I see live.
I was we can see you. I was I'll put it in the private chat.
I can see you fine.
Okay, cool.
I can see
Yeah,
you fine.
so yeah, I had talked to a business owner in the beginning that had sort of said that they're so used to kind of constantly needing to navigate obstacles during the even outside of the pandemic, that they're like, yeah, it's terrible, but it's also just like more of the same type of navigation that they needed to do prior to that. So that is like a similar sentiment that we hear from others. What is, before we maybe lose you if the connection ends up getting bad or something, what is your website, or where do people go? Do you ship stuff, or is it mostly just like when you're up
the
there?
best way to reach me, honestly, is Facebook. The best way is Facebook.
Okay.
And
your Facebook
I don't
is
have
like awesome too.
Just Grand Marais Outfitters. And I don't have I do have a website, but it's not really updated. I don't have a store, if you will, because I like to ensure that something is right in front of me, medium and whatever, that I can put in the envelope. I mean, for me, I just haven't figured out a way to have an online store because I order in such small quantities.
Yeah. And then like keeping everything constantly updated in addition
Are you still
to
there?
like,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, one other thing. Yeah. Well, one thing I wanted to comment on, if everyone talks about giving back to the community, and of course I do. But one thing is, small business owners, I think it's our responsibility to educate our employers or our employees. Everyone's talking about the lack of employees, which is in fact true. But we also want an educated marketplace. And in order to do that, we have to be able to educate the marketplace ourselves. And so I make sure that my employees are involved in every step of the process so they understand it. So, ultimately they're not going to work here forever. So when they go someplace else, they have a better base of knowledge and can transfer what they've done here. So I think if we want better educated employees, there's millions of us out there. We are, in fact, the educators.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And then it also enables you to be able to kind of like take a break sometimes, and like somebody can kind of fill in some portions of the business when you're like, hand sanding the floors and all that.
I want them to understand that what they're seeing, for example, a shirt, how much time goes into it. And so my employees too have a process or a part in designing much of what we do. Items that we're carrying, my employees help me decide if we're going to carry it or not. So they all understand almost everything from the creation to the final sale.
Yeah, that's great. I also love that your phone is ringing off the hooks.
Oh yeah.
You're probably trying to
say you're not online anymore. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on today. And we put the comment in the link in the comments to your Facebook as well, so that people can kind of check that out. And then people definitely need to go. Like, it's just like a really cool Facebook page anyway for like looking at like up north and hiking and like all the awesome things. So people should definitely go check that out. And then, yeah, thank you so much. I know you're like, it's like the peak of Go Up North season right now. So I'm sure those 2 phone calls were not the only 1 million things that you're trying to do today. So I really appreciate you being on today.
Thank you, Emily. And thanks for inviting me.
Okay. I will see you soon. I feel like now I got to go hiking or something. I haven't been to the Upper Peninsula in a really long time. So big thank you to Sticky Spoons Jam, Flavor Temptations, and Grand Marais Outfitters for joining today. And congratulations again to Madam Chu Delicacies. Yay, Josie. So thank you also to DTE Energy Foundation, Lightship Capital, and Jobs Ohio, and our other sponsors across the Midwest for supporting this special edition. And thank you to all of our viewers for watching. And remember to select your favorite business from today. You just need to share this episode to spread the word about these businesses, and then submit the name of your favorite business using the link that's in the description of this video. And so if you just share the video, that's the way that everybody can see all the companies that were on today. And then it also shares the voting link in there. So then more people can see them and vote for them and all of that. And then voting will be open until this Friday around noonish is usually when I do it. And then the selected company will be announced at the beginning of next Monday's episode, and will receive $1,000 from us. So that would be cool. So we'll be back next Monday to celebrate 3 more Midwest small businesses. Thanks.